welcome to MTG Friends. We're doing a Commander deck tech on Soul of Windgrace. It is not lost on me that you could be just as easily watching some TikTok-y crap or tweeting some Twitter bird garbage or Facebooking blah. And if you're hardcore into social media, that's fine. So you are technically watching this and watching me spout off about some commanders and some shizzle here. So without further ado, let's do this shizzle. Soul of Windgrace. MTG Friends. Legendary creature cat avatar. It is all about land stuff. In fact, we have a package that's called land stuff. Not landfall, not land removal, just land stuff. Whenever Soul of Windgrace enters the battlefield or attacks, you may put a land card from a graveyard onto the battlefield tapped under your control. So, ramp built into our commander. For green, discard a land card to gain through life. We're probably not going to do that. For 2, discard a land card, draw a card. Might be doing that a lot. And for 3, discard a land card, Soul of Windgrace gains indestructible end of turn, tap it. We might also be doing that. So, we got a lot of land shenanigans going on. Shenanigans! Let's look at the packages, yo. Let's look at the packages. We have a couple land destruction pieces, actually just mainly one, but we got discard. Now notice I didn't pack this deck with a bunch of land destruction to piss off everybody we're playing against. This is not a land destruction deck, but there is some land destruction. A discard, this one could have just as easily been put into shenanigans, but it is specifically about discarding. Land recursion, I mean, you see what's at the top of this, right? Ren and 6, spicy. Draw, we got some draw mechanics, and there's some draw mechanics splattered in these other packages. Some removal, some stuff you'd expect, some stuff you wouldn't. Ramp, of course, because we do have green in one of our pips. Land stuff, like I said. We'll go through that in detail, land stuff. We are running more land than normal because we're dealing with land stuff. And then shenanigans. And then we actually have some mana sink specifically in this kind of synergetic deck where we're going to have plenty of sink mana for some shenanigans. Man, shenanigans all over the place. Tutor. We got some typical tutors in our colors. And then just a couple protection pieces. Some staples. Well, a staple in protection. All right, so let's go ahead and just start right in. Discard. All right, Archfiend of Ifnir. Flying whenever you cycle or discard another card. And notice our commander discards. Put a -1 counter on each creature your opponent controls. Boom. This is not a cycle deck, and this is not a madness deck. So this is just specifically for some of the synergies of discarding lands mostly, where we can really get great utility out of a 5/4 flying beater just to begin with excellent stats. That synergizes what we're up to, yo. What we're up to. All right, Lord Windgrace. 2 black, red, green. More discard mechanics, but also draw. Its +2 is discard a card, then draw a card. If a land card is discard display, draw an additional card. We're going to be able to utilize that a lot. And -3, return up to 2 target land cards from your graveyard to the battlefield. By the way, this is a great commander, by the way, which you can make your commander. And its ultimate is ridiculous. We're not really concerned about the ultimate. Destroy up to 6 target non-land permanents, then create 6/2 green cat warrior creature tokens with Forest Walk. There is a good chance you're going to be able to get to that ultimate because it's got a +2 that starts at 5. You know, you can do math. We all know how to do math, right? All right, so this is draw Magmatic Insight. As an additional cost to cast Magmatic Insight, discard a land card, draw 2 cards. So there's some discards to get Ifnir to fire off there. Phyrexian Arena, we're definitely not running Necropotence in this 3-color deck. At the beginning of your upkeep, you draw a card and you lose a life. Sylvan, we're in green. Why wouldn't we be running Sylvan? Basically, draw 3 for 8 life. You know how Sylvan Library works at this point, right? Right. If you need more explanation, we can go through it. All right, the land package, we're going to blast through this. Most of the things you'd expect for the 3 colors we're in. The fetch lands, the shock lands, and then the utility lands that typically are in this stuff. So blast through, shock lands, Boseiju, great channel land, so we can remove a non-basic land or an artifact or enchantment. Can't be countered because it's channel. Cabal Coffers because we are running Uberg. Command Tower, all of our colors. Dark Depths. Okay, this is one that isn't necessarily. So we'll most likely have some mana sink capabilities. So removing ice counters from Dark Depths is going to give us a 2020 black avatar creature token with flying named Merit Lage, Legume into a play. Deathglade, this is the 2 or more lands ones. I like that. Fabled Passage, we all know that, right? You can crack it and it comes in untapped for a basic land if including it is 4 total lands or more. Very few basics in here, so if somebody runs a Blood Room, you're screwed. But, I mean, how often do we run into that? I mean, really, unless they're running mono-red goblins or something. Goblins! Or, yeah. Maze, another utility land, untapped target attacking creature, prevent all combat damage that would be dealt to and dealt by that creature this turn. You can easily swap this card out. I think it's great for just spot removal. Technically not removal, but removal from combat. Pain land. This is a pain land, right? Pain land, pay 1 life, yeah. And you can also sack it to draw a card. Shock lands, Prismatic to go grab a basic. We are running at least a couple basics in each of the colors we need. Reliquary Tower, because there's a good chance we're going to have extra cards past 7. Boop-a-doop-a-doop. This is, I think, one of the only comes in tapped lands, which, as you know, I absolutely hate coming in tapped lands. Savage lands in our colors, so we're okay with that. Scavenger Grounds, we are going to be able to recur some of these lands, so having a couple land removal pieces is fabulous. For 2, sack a desert, exile all cards from all graveyards. This is a desert itself, so you can sack itself. Right. For 2, sacrifice a desert, exile all cards from all graveyards. Yes. All right, Spire Garden, we know what those are. We know shock lands. Yeah. Strip Mine. Okay, yep. Sack Strip Mine to destroy target land. Boom. I mean, and then we can recur that with a couple of the other cards we got going on in here. The other channel land from Kamigawa, I used to call it Kawigama for some reason. I don't know. Do you ever call it Kawigama? It's Kamigawa. Anyways, channel for 4. This allows you to mill 3 cards and return a creature or planeswalker from your graveyard. And remember the part that the ability costs 1 less to activate for each legendary creature you control. I tend to forget that part, but it is a thing. This is if you have 2 or more opponents. Comes in untapped. Uberg to make all of our lands swamps in addition to everything else. We are running Tron. I love when I run Tron. It happens so seldom that I get excited and you get the double horns for that shizzle. Tron in the mother flippin' house, yo. Oh, I guess I should probably explain Tron. If you control all 3 of them, they tap for 2, 3, and 3, I believe. 2, 3, and 3? 2 and 3. Which is fabulous mana sink capabilities. And we have ways to fetch these out. Yes. I mean, Golos we can't use anymore, plus that wouldn't be in our colors, but, you know, whatever. Whatevs. More of that shenanigans. Wasteland. Sacrifice Wasteland, destroy target non-basic land. Boom. You get a big old boom for that one. Yavimaya also, so we can make all of our lands forests as well. And then, of course, the Triome in the colors we're running. All right, so our one main destruction piece for land, destructive flow in our colors. At the beginning of each player's upkeep, that player sacrifices a non-basic land. So we'll piss off our opponents, but not so much that they scoop and say, don't play that deck again. Yes. Land recursion. All right. Reach. You may play lands from your graveyards. Yes, graveyard land play. If a land entering the battlefield causes a triggered ability of a permanent you control to trigger, this ability triggers an additional time. We are running a certain amount of landfall, which means that landfall trigger will happen an additional time. Crucible of Worlds. Amen. You may play lands from your graveyard. Of course, we're running that. Ruminop, Excavator, Crucible in a creature. You may play lands from your graveyard. Ren and 6. Crucible of Worlds in a Planeswalker. +1, return up to 1 land card from your graveyard to your hand. I guess technically it's to your hand, so not exactly a Crucible. It's -1 as Ren and 6 deals 1 damage to any target. You're most likely going to be upticking this. You know, the ultimate, if you get there, you get an emblem with instant and sorcery cards in your graveyards have retrace. You're probably not going to ultimate that thing, but hey, if you do, applause, golf clap. All right, more land stuff. Or this is land stuff. Augur of Autumn for 3. Totally swappable card, by the way, but it's still strong enough to be in here. You may look at the top card of your library anytime. You may play land from the top of your library. And Coven, as long as you control 3 or more creatures with different powers, you may cast creature spells from the top of your library. Super great getting through your deck if it survives long enough to do it. All right, Avenger, a staple with landfall. When it ETBs, you get a 0/1 plant for each land you have. And then landfall, when an additional land happens, all of those plants get +1/+1. It gets out of control so ridiculously quick. Azusa, we can play an additional land on each of your turns. I always mess up this name. Enraged. I'm not even going to try. Can you say it 3 times fast? Borborygmos. Jesus. Wow, man. Whenever it deals combat damage to a player, reveal the top 3 cards of your library. Put all land cards revealed this way into your hand and the rest into your graveyard. Discard a land card. Dude, I can't. For some reason, I can't say that. Borborygmos. Borb? Orygmos. That's the last time I'm going to say it in this episode. Enraged deals 3 damage to target creature or player. Whew, man, that was awful. I'm leaving that in because you know what? Yeah, you know. Cultivator, Colossus, 4 green. Trample. Its power and toughness are each equal to the number of lands you control. When it ETBs, you may put a land card from your hand onto the battlefield tapped. If you do, draw a card and repeat the process. Land. Land stuff. Dryad, you can play an additional land on your turn. Lands you control are every basic land type, in addition to their other. Elvish Reclaimer, this is nice. It gets +2/+2 as long as there are 3 or more land cards in your graveyard. Yeah, that's fine. And for 2 tap, sacrifice land. Search your library for a land card, put it onto the battlefield tap, then shuffle your library. To go fetch up Tron, yo. Life from the Loan, sorcery to turn up to 3 target land cards from your graveyard to your hand. And it's got Dredge. And if you're not familiar with Dredge, I'm just going to read it right off the card. If you would draw a card instead, you may put exactly 3 cards from the top of your library into your graveyard. If you do, return this card from your graveyard to your hand, otherwise draw a card. Got it? Land stuff. It's land stuff. Mina and Den, Wildborn for 4. You may play an additional land on each of your turns. Return a land you control to its owner's hand. Target creature gains trample in a turn. The first part of that is probably more relevant. Morog! The more times a land drops, the more combat phases you have. Easy peasy, this thing wins games. Nesting Dragon, this is great. Landfall happens, a dragon egg happens, an 0/2 dragon egg. If a board wipe happens, then you suddenly have 2/2 dragons ready to just fly into the faces of your opponents. Omnath, landfall as well. When a land ETBs, you get a 5/5 red and green elemental. And when another elemental you control dies, you can ping somebody for 3 damage. Creature or player. Oracle, you can play lands off the top of your deck and an additional land. Rampaging, Baloth, landfall, so land enters, you get a 4/4 beast. Scoot Swarm is ridiculous. We all love to hate Scoot Swarm, especially if you're playing it and they can hate it. After you have 6 or more lands, you get a Scoot Swarm. And then those Scoot Swarms make more Scoot Swarms, and then your whole board is filled with Scoot Swarms. It's ridiculous. Shigeki Jukai Visionary. Ooh, I got it right. For 2 tap, you can return it to your hand. Reveal the top 4 cards of your library. You may put a land card from among them onto the battlefield. Tap, put the rest into your graveyard. And then you can channel XX green, discard it. Return X target non-legendary cards, which is so great, from your graveyard to your hand. Such a great recursion spell. Gitrog Monster for 5. Death Touch 6/6, which is great stats just to begin with. At the beginning of your upkeep, sacrifice the Gitrog monster unless you sacrifice a land, and we're totally groovy with that. You may play an additional land on each of your turns. Whenever one or more land cards are put into your graveyard from anywhere, draw a card. This thing does it all for what we're trying to do, yo. Oh, I just yo'd you. Yo. Wayward Swordtooth for 3/5/5 dinosaur. It's got Ascend. You may play an additional land on each of your turns, and it can't attack or block unless you have the City's Blessing. City Blessing is you got to have, 10? Yeah, 10 or more permanents, which is pretty easy to do with all of this ramp and Shagalicious, awesome Snoopy-Doopy stuff. Exsanguinate. We're into mana sinks because we're most likely going to have lots of mana at our fingertips. Exsanguinate, X black. Each opponent loses X life. You gain life equal to the life lost that way. Lavalanche. You may not be familiar with this one. It's in our colors of the commander plus X. Deals X damage to target player or planeswalker and each creature that player or that planeswalker's controller controls. Need I say more about that card? Awesomely perfect in this deck. Steel Hell Kite. This is interesting because if we have Mana Sink, we can really spot check stuff. Flying for 2, it gets +1 until end of turn, but more importantly, for X, without a tapping mechanism, destroy each non-land permanent with mana value X, whose controller was dealt combat damage by Steel Hell Kite this turn. Activate only once each turn. Fabulous. You do have to crack him in the head in order to do that X, but fabulous. They may end up using a spot removal on it that they otherwise would just let it sit there. And worst case scenario is it's a 5/5 beater. Hell's Bells, yeah. Torment of Hellfire. This thing, I love this card in black. Black, X. Repeat the following X times. Each opponent loses 3 life unless that player sacks a non-land permanent or discards a card. So you can really turn the tempo with this card for surezies. Protection, Heroic Intervention. All your permanents get hexproof till end of turn. Sylvan Safekeeper, very specific in this deck. Sack a land. Target creature you control gains Shroud until end of turn. Shroud is that it can't be targeted by your opponent or yourself for that matter. All right, we got ramp. Cultivate. We know what Cultivate does, right? 1 on the battlefield tapped, 1 into your hand. Expedition Map, go fetch up Tron. For 2, sack, go grab a land card. Put it in your hand. Exploration, you can play an additional land on each of your turns. Harrow, you can sack a land and go grab 2 basic lands. Jessica's Will, this is the one where if commander's out, you can do both. Add red for each card in target opponent's hand. Really great for early ramp. And or exile the top 3 cards of your library. You may play them this turn. Nature's Lore, go search for a forest land. Put it on the battlefield, and that's untapped. Unless, of course, you go fetch like Trium, that comes in tapped regardless. Nelia's Intervention, X green. Choose 1, which is gonna be the first part most likely. Search library for up to X land cards, reveal them, put them into your hand, then shuffle your library. Or in a pinch, you can do twice X damage to each creature with flying. So a little bit of versatility there, but most likely you're gonna be doing number uno. Next Bloom Ancients for really ramping the hell out of things. 4 green. Trample, if you would tap a permanent for mana, it produces 3 times that much. Mana Sink at its best, man. Sakura, go sack it, grab a land. Sky Shroud, basic land, I think. Basic land. Sky Shroud, one of my favorites. You can go, for 4, you can go grab 2 force cards, bring them in untapped. They can be non-basic, just 2 forests. Pretty badass. Soul Ring. Attempt with discovery. We are still in ramp. Search your library for a land card and put it in the battlefield. Each opponent may search his or her library for a land card and put it onto the battlefield. For each opponent who searches a library this way, search your library. So basically, if they go search one, then you also get a search for that same amount. It's pretty badass, especially with landfall mechanics. So this one really ramps the crap out of things. Renin 7. This thing has all sorts of great stuff for these kinds of land-based decks. +1, reveal top 4 cards of your library. Put all lands in your hand. And for 0, put any number of land cards from your hand onto the battlefield. And then you could get a Tree Folk for the -3 if you are needing a blocker or a beater. Assassin's Trophy, you can go destroy permanent. They get a basic land for the trouble. In a pinch, you could actually... I think you have to do opponents. Yeah, you can't do your own. So, very nice spot removal, especially if you're trying to remove a land of theirs. Beast Within. Also, destroy target permanent. Can be a land. Its controller gets 3/3 Beast. Yes. Beast token. Alright, we got some other removal like Damnation. Damnation board wipe. Deadly Rollick to exile instead of destroy. Cost nothing if you got your commander out. Force of Vigor to destroy 2 artifacts and or enchantments. And you can dump a green card, which you probably won't do in this build for it to not cost anything. Crows and Grip has Split Second. Otherwise, it wouldn't be in this deck. Split Second just means you can't put anything else on the stack until it resolves. Destroy target artifact or enchantment. Vandal Blast. The overload is 5. You can destroy all artifacts, which is great if you have a serious situation. Is it all your opponents? Overload, you may cast a spell for its overload. If you do, change this text by replacing all instances of target with each. Okay, so it's each. Each goes bye-bye. All right, Wildfire. This is fabulous. Each player sacrifices 4 lands. What? Which isn't that big of a deal for us. Wildfire deals 4 damage to each creature. Also 4 damage. That is disgusting. All right, Shenanigans. Was Wildfire in Shenanigans? No. Now we're in Shenanigans. For 5, Shia, Soul of the Wild's power and toughness are equal to the number of lands you control. And non-token creatures you control are forest lands in addition to their other type. So, non-token creatures you control are forest lands in addition to their other types. Yeah, okay. Yep, just making sure I understood the card, because I don't run this card very often. Boom, boom, shalaka. Deathrite Shaman, it does everything. Oh my god. Well, maybe not everything. Doesn't clean your car out. Exile target land card from... That was so silly. That was so dumb. Exile target land card from a graveyard. Add 1 mana of any color to your mana pool. Black tap. Exile target instant or sorcery card from a graveyard. Exile opponent loses 2 life. And green tap. Exile target creature card from a graveyard. You gain 2 life. It does lots of graveyard hate, which is nice. So nice. Turtle Witness. We know what this does, right? And it's only in Shenanigans because it just didn't really fit in any of the other categories easily. You can go grab a target card from your graveyard. Put it in your hand. Yeah. I think we're getting towards the end of this here. Genesis Wave. X, green, green, green. Reveal the top X cards in your library. You may put any number of permanent cards with converted mana cost X or less from among them onto the battlefield. Then put all cards revealed this way that weren't put on the battlefield in your graveyard. Boom. We like it. We like it. We're not running Craterhoof. We're not running, I think, Green Sun Zenith, those kinds of, because we're not necessarily trying to fetch up the OTK going wide shizzle. Kadama of the East Tree for 6 reach. Whenever another permanent enters the battlefield under your control, if it wasn't put onto the battlefield with this ability, you may, so like you drop a land, put a permanent card with equal or lesser converted mana cost from your hand onto the battlefield. Then you get to put another one on. See what I'm going with there? Yeah, you do. You're smart. We're so smart. Demonic Tutor. Search your library. Put it in your hand. You got it. Cost 2. Vampiric. Put on top of your library. Instant speed. Cost you 2 life. Worldly. Go grab a creature. Put on top of your library. Ramp. Ramp is this is the maybe board. Yeah, I actually put Arcane Signet in the maybe board because we're more concerned about putting land in. Anyways, you can check out at your leisure the maybe board, just stuff that didn't make the cut. stuff I was thinking about, you know, like more land destruction, more destruction, just different things that just didn't make the cut for synergy reasons. I think you're going to have a lot of fun with this. Let me know what you think. Thanks for tuning in. Peace out, and check out other stuff. All right, MTG Friends.